Hey.
All right, Governor, you are ready to go.
All right, welcome everybody. Let me call to order the State of Nevada Commission on Homeland Security meeting scheduled for Thursday, April 27th of 2023, 1300 hours. Can I have the clerk call the roll, please?
Governor Joe Lombardo,
Present.
Sheriff Kevin McMahill,
Present.
Sheriff Darren Bala, was that present? Colonel Brett Constant,
Present.
Spencer Evans,
Present.
Todd Facilio, Mitchell Fox,
Present.
Chief Fernando Gray,
Present.
Dr. Khan,
Present.
Chief Charles Moore, Richard Perkins, Harriet Parker,
Present.
Chief John Steinbeck,
Present.
Rosemary Vasiliadis, Patricia Wade,
Present.
Bill Welch, Karen Burke,
Present.
Gonzalo Godorva,
Present.
Chris Epson, Chris Ranger, Patrick O'Neill, or PK O'Neill, sorry, Akeem Patel,
Present.
Chief David Fogerson,
Present.
Governor, you have quorum.
Okay, thank you. Sharon, is that you, Ms. Whipple?
Shireen,
Shireen? All right, thank you. All right, we'll close agenda item number 1 and we'll move on to item number 2, public comment. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on the agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Ms. Whipple, do we have anybody for public comment?
anyone in the room?
Governor David Fogerson, I do have one public comment for the group.
Okay,
Today, we normally ask all the grant applicants to attend the meeting. Today, we did excuse Carrie Underwood and Rachel Skidmore from Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, the Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center. Chief Billy Samuels and myself will cover for them during their grant if there's any questions, as they are the recipients of the Fusion Center of the Year Award. And so they are receiving that award in place of attending this meeting today.
is that Fusion Center of the Year nationally or for Nevada?
Nationally.
So they're competing against more than one person?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a big honor.
Huge honor.
Impressive. That's impressive. So do we have any written comment, Ms. Whipple?
No, we do not.
Okay, anything on the internet?
No.
Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we will close. Hold on, somebody make a comment? All right, hearing none, seeing none, we'll close public comment, move on to agenda item number 3, approval of the minutes. Are there any concerns or any edits by any board members? Hearing none, can I have a motion, please?
Dr. Khan, so moved.
Samantha, do I need a second with Homeland Security?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Can I have a second?
This is Bill Welch. I'll
Patty
second.
Wade, second.
All right, we'll take Patty Wade as a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
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 All those against, nay. Hearing none, motion passes. We will close agenda item number 3 and move on to agenda item number 4, announcement of vice chair by Governor Lombardo. This is discussion only, and as matter of NRS, I have appointed Sheriff Kevin McMahill to replace me as the vice chair as I moved up, and Kevin accepted the position, and I welcome him aboard. Kevin, any comment?
Just want to say thank you, Governor, and I'll try to fill the shoes and get off there. Thank you very much.
All right, you have really bad feedback, Kevin, so I don't know if you're too close to the mic or. Can you hear me?
Very well.
There you go. Just be careful that you have really bad feedback. So welcome aboard, and you will be actually running the meetings if I need to absent myself, and obviously to provide your expertise moving forward. So I appreciate that. That was a discussion only, so we'll close item number 4. Do we have any concerns or questions of any other board members of Kevin? All right, hearing none. We'll move on to agenda item 5, discussion on cybersecurity efforts within Nevada. So before we go into this particular item, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different separate presentations. So Mr. Fogerson, if we can stop after each presentation and ask the board of any questions or concerns before we move on to the next one, I appreciate that.
Absolutely, sir.
All right, we'll kick it off with 5A, Mr. Rob.
Thank you very much, Governor and members of the commission. Just want to give you a quick overview of the cybersecurity task force, kind of what we do, why we're doing it, and what we hope to achieve with it. I'll keep it brief because I know there's a bunch more folks that are going to fill in some gaps. So the cybersecurity task force, the urgency in setting it up came from some federal grant opportunities. So we wanted to make sure that we were eligible to get those grants and get them out to the local jurisdictions as quickly and effectively as possible. The task force was a condition of the grant, so we are eligible to receive that and have been going down the process of getting everything we need approved from all the federal agencies to get that accomplished. We are in final review of our plan that will allow us to go through the process of administering this grant. So there's still a few more steps to go before we can get money out to the local jurisdictions, but we are working down that path and should have some stuff here pretty soon. In addition to that piece, we also wanted this commission or this task force to serve as a convening group that we can have conversations, share some learnings, share some concerns, whatever may be helpful for the local jurisdictions. There's a lot of different diversity in our types of jurisdictions engaged in the process, and we want to make sure that everybody has a voice at the table and also can connect to the resources they need in preparing for cybersecurity response and recovery if needed. So I think with that, unless there's any questions, we can pass down to some of the cybersecurity experts that are coming up on this agenda item and go from there.
For the record, Governor Lombardo, Tim, do you have, it says on the descriptive responsibilities and vision, are you able to provide the board those 2 items?
Yeah, so the responsibilities are that administration of the grant process. So getting out that money and then also working with the DEM team to ensure that that grant process is smooth and effective. So that's happening. Sorry, I think there's a Chinook flying over right now for a firefighter memorial thing going on outside the door. But and then as far as the vision, we are really working to ensure that grant process goes as smooth as possible and that the proper pieces to cybersecurity preparedness are happening in the state. And then also just that conversation piece that I mentioned earlier on making sure that everybody has access to the information they need and the groups that are engaged in cybersecurity at the state level. So.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of any board members? All right, hearing none, we will move on to item 5B, cybersecurity landscape. Mr. Fogerson.
Thank you, Governor and Commission members. We wanted to put this on the agenda today to show where cybersecurity is and all the different lanes of it. Because just like in Homeland Security, it's an enterprise. It's not one agency that does this. Everyone's got a lane and everyone works together collaboratively and cooperatively. And that's how we maintain the process, how we hit everything we need to hit. no one owns this workspace. It's a shared workspace that we all have to get along well with. And that's a nice thing. You're going to hear from the folks coming down, whether it's the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination with the team, whether it's the State Chief Information Security Officer, Bob Denhart, whether it's the Office of Military with the National Guard, Joint Cyber Task Force with soon-to-be General Waters, and with CISA with Dr. Hayes, and then the coordinating role that the Division of Emergency Management plays in it. So we wanted to present this to you so that way everyone can see all the different players that are working on this and how we're all trying to get together and work together as a collaborative group. And it starts with that cybersecurity task force that the grant forced our hand and made us form that task force. But now we're trying to leverage that task force to how do we move better in the future to coordinate all these efforts working together. And Governor's Homeland Security Advisory Council, that's a national group from the Governors Association, is just working on a policy paper right now that they kind of leaked out to us this morning, showing about exactly what we're doing here in Nevada, connecting all these pieces together and using that emergency management as that coordination piece. And a great example is yesterday we did a cybersecurity tabletop called Silver State Blackout. And it started with a domestic violence event that then turned into a cyber attack and turned off power to most of the state. And we had discussions, whether it's protective service advisors, cybersecurity advisors, state, local, nonprofits, the casino industry was present, all having that discussion about how do we manage this big, scary thing we call cybersecurity. Because it's not information technology. We don't know what they're going to attack, when they're going to attack, but we have to figure out who works in this workspace and how do we all work together to get that through. So hopefully my friends that continue to follow along this agenda item will be able to explain their role in the process. And then we can talk in future meetings if anybody has a question on how we can continue to build this collaborative partnership that we're working on today.
All right, any questions of any board members? Hey, Dave, this is Governor Lombardo for the record. So what was the results of the tabletop? Success? Got a lot of issues to address?
Absolutely not success, Governor. It was exactly what we're hoping for. We don't exercise to success, we exercise to failure. Give us a roadmap for the future of what we need to work on.
All right, good. And you will provide an after action?
Yes, we can provide an after action report for that. FEMA is actually working on that for us. We were able to do it as a national level exercise and brought them in to coordinate it and had about 140 partners, 105 in a room and 35 online to do this. So it'll be very interesting to see what the after action review says.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to agenda item 5C, Office of Cyber Defense and Coordination, Mr. Patel.
Thank you, Governor. My name is Akeem Patel. I'm the administrator for the Office of Cyber Defense and Coordination. The vision of the Office of Cyber Defense and Coordination is to kind of serve as a combination cybersecurity, like think tank and R&D group, and an organization that kind of works with all our partner entities across the state to ensure that we're kind of on the same page about our cybersecurity efforts and that we're working together in a coherent fashion and not against each other's interests and against each other's efforts. Our regulatory obligations are to form an incident response team that's available to support all our partner entities in the case of a cyber event. We're supposed to work with all state, local, and tribal territorial entities, as well as any private entities that wish to make use of our abilities and our team to support their needs as well. And we're supposed to work with the higher education group to work on developing a cybersecurity workforce for the state and to create a better training program and a better pathway for our professionals to grow into a cybersecurity career. At the moment, we have a couple of programs to support this. We started up an intelligence sharing program with a bi-weekly newsletter involving like known cybersecurity threats, tools and techniques, and other pertinent news to share among all our partners to get to uniformly share cybersecurity news across the board, so everyone's kind of aware of what's going on in the playing field across the state. We're working on starting up a cybersecurity tool development program to create an easily deployable set of tools for all the entities that don't have necessarily the resources of larger entities across the state to actually get some of their programs kickstarted and bootstrapped and up and running with some of the tools that we help develop and get them deployed with. We're looking at building up the incident response staff that we are obligated to have based on regulations. And we've reached out to various higher education groups across the state to start developing internship programs and other programs to work with developing the cybersecurity workforce. A lot of this is still kind of in the new state, as I've just taken over the department recently, but I'm kind of eager to get a lot of the programs up and running. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, any board members?
Yes, Governor, this is John Steinbeck. I have a couple questions.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to know on this emergency response team, what's the process for activation?
Chief Steinbeck, Dave Fogelstein probably answer that probably a little easier than Keen can, because we've been working on that with the prior OCDC administrator, and when Keen came in, we stood up some items. Be through the Division of Emergency Management, and we would be able to, we're trying to build, and you're going to hear about this in a couple minutes, some resources through the Nevada National Guard in order to use them on state active duty. So we manage it just like we would any other type of major incident. If it becomes that large of an event. On a smaller event, that's where Keen could reach out to his cohorts throughout the local government that he's building to see what they can do to help. Of course, a lot of people already have cyber insurance, and so that might not even make it to us, but small companies are going to be using their insurance program to hire a company to do it on their own as well.
Okay, David. So then is there a cost or reimbursement back to locals?
You know, that's the $25 million question, right there, because we're still having a discussion at the national level. Can the Stafford Act pay for cybersecurity incidents? And so with the same cybersecurity grant program that they provided us, that we built the task force for, there is money allocated in there for the Department of Homeland Security in order to provide some funding streams for that. But no one's used those yet, so we're still trying to see how that all works out. Lots of conversation at the national level about how that might be. So we'll have to see as we continue to move forward.
Okay, and then activation and assistance, is that on site or is that remote?
Akeem Patel for the record. It would be whatever would be needed as based on the incident. Some incidents you could work remotely. In some we would need to deploy on site, and you'd kind of take it on a case by case basis. The cybersecurity incidents tend to differ enough that it's having one playbook across the board is not really feasible. So we need to be flexible in that regard.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Governor.
Any other questions?
Governor, this is Richard Perkins. No question. Just wanted to indicate that I was present.
Okay, did you get that, Ms. Whipple?
Yes, I did, Governor.
All right, just to back up, this is Governor Lombardo. For as far as a question overall, as I look through this list, with the disparate functions and investigations and everything else goes along with it, Tim, with the cybersecurity task force, are they able to provide an organizational chart and areas of responsibility and response protocols and contact information?
Yes, absolutely. So Tim Robb, for the record, Governor, happy to do that. We'll work with the Division of Emergency Management to compile all of that. I think we have it already. We will just put it in a way that's more shareable.
Okay, and then Spencer, I don't know if you can hear me, but where does the FBI fall into this response or profile?
Yeah, so Governor, we would obviously be on more of the investigative side. And so CISA and DHS typically are working with organizations on the, prevention and monitoring and getting back up and running side. We would be on, like I said, the intelligence investigative side, and then to a certain extent, victim services division can also weigh in as much as there's individual victims too.
Okay, so ideally we would call you or activate you in conjunction with all these different disparate groups, organizations.
Yeah, so that's right, Governor. So we've been working hard to make sure that if a call to us is also going to CISA and vice versa, so that you're not trying to reach out to multiple federal agencies, we will handle the coordination and make it more one-stop shopping.
Okay. Dr. Hayes could probably opine on that a little additionally too. I'll wait until we get to you, Doc. So we'll close 5C. We'll move on to 5D, Nevada Enterprise Information Technology, EATS, Chief Information Security Officer, Mr. Is it Den or Dinehart?
Denhart, sir.
I got it wrong both ways. All right, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Governor. For the record, my name is Bob Denhart, and I am the State Chief Information Security Officer. I report to the State CIO, Timothy Galuzzi, and my primary roles are to manage the Office of Information Security and chair the State Information Security Committee. Now, the Office of Information Security provides tools, support, and guidance for operational security to the executive branch agencies. This includes continuous monitoring of the enterprise using a managed security operations center, vulnerability scanning, penetration testing, incident response coordination, threat intelligence analysis, user security awareness training, physical access management using the Nevada Card Access System, or NCAS, and an integrated risk management platform. On the State Information Security Committee side, that committee is made up of information security officers from the executive branch agencies, along with support personnel and guests from outside executive branch. Currently, we have as guest members representatives from the legislative and judicial branches, NCHS, and the National Guard. Its function is to create and update security policy and standards for the executive branch and encourage information sharing, cooperation, and coordination between the agencies on security managers. And I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from Mr. Dayhart from any board members? All right, well, thank you for your presentation. We'll move on to 5E. Absolutely. We'll move on to 5E, Office of the Military Nevada National Guard Joint Cyber Security Task Force, and Colonel Waters.
Thanks, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Governor.
And you say general yet?
That's in July, sir, July 17th.
I keep forgetting.
Yeah. I'll make sure you get that invitation you requested, sir.
Okay.
I appreciate that, keeping it on the forefront. But thank you for hosting me today. The Nevada National Guard, the intent, I should say, of the Joint Cybersecurity Task Force is to leverage federal assets for the benefit of the state. So those assets, whether it be equipment or cybersecurity expertise that is funded by the federal government, specifically housed within the Nevada National Guard, but able to utilize from a state aspect on state time. What we're really talking about is the funding of 32 positions, state personnel that would provide that backbone of expertise. We're looking at a 5-year plan right now. We've got the first person moving forward this legislative session, a strategic planner and coordinator, and then over the next 2 legislative sessions, fully filling out the team. I would say that we have a 5-year plan. We also have a 6-year plan and a 10-year plan, depending on the exact state's financial needs. The responsibilities of the team is to partner with the Cybersecurity Task Force, DEM, specifically the Office of Cyber Defense and Coordination, DPS, and CISA as we prepare to ensure we're prepared for response. So this team isn't only reactive, it's proactive. So we have the defense capabilities and the response capabilities built into this team. The vision is that full spectrum of cybersecurity capabilities across the entire defense and response possibilities by October of 2028. Subject to your question, sir.
What was the, this is Governor Lombardo for the record, October of 2028, why so far out?
Well, sir, we could actually do it faster, but we determined that it'd probably be more palatable or acceptable running it across 3 legislative sessions rather than just 2. Where, like I said, hiring our first person through the legislative, or I should say, getting the first position approved through the legislative session rather right now. And so that leaves 16 people for the 2025 session and then an additional 15 for the 2027 session.
Okay.
But to further provide some information, the team is designed to be modular. So if we have to push it out over a longer span, we do bring in capabilities based on a smaller team concept. But of course, when you bring on the smaller teams, you don't get the full spectrum of capabilities.
I understand. So Governor Lombardo, for the record, so Dave, Mr. Fogerson, what is the length of the grant associated with the cybersecurity task force?
So the cybersecurity task force grant is a 3-year grant right now, and we'll see. We're assuming that they're going to continue this process like we have seen with the other Homeland Security funds. That there'll be another grant coming up. The one piece that it does not fund is you cannot hire personnel with it unless you have a sustainment plan to fund them at the end of that 3-year period that you get the grant money for.
Okay, so the task force that the colonel is alluding to, would they be able to absorb that responsibility?
And that the task force that he's talking about is they call it a joint task force because it's going to be Army and Air Force personnel. And so we're taking federally trained personnel and then leveraging them on state active duty to be able to do work for the state instead of for the federal government. And so they would be the doers that would be working with a Keen when we do have a response incident. The cybersecurity task force that Tim Robb chairs, that's kind of like the overarching board that covers how do we do business, how do we make sure that we're collaborating, cooperating with everyone.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Absolutely, sir.
Any questions of the colonel from the board members? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Colonel.
Yes, sir.
We'll move on to 5F, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Administration, CISA, with Dr. Richard Hayes. Was he on the roll call, Ms. Whipple?
I'm here, sir.
Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
My apologies.
Hear you now.
Good afternoon, Governor. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Dr. Rick Hayes. I'm with CISA. My role is the Cybersecurity State Coordinator, supporting the state of Nevada. Began this role back on August of 2021. It's a new program, new position. My purpose is to partner with the state for the government and executive branch and critical infrastructure for all matters. Cybersecurity. Part of that role is to inform the state and help assess. We have 4 priority areas from CISA that we're working with in election security, K through 12 education, healthcare, and water and wastewater, and any of the other priorities that the state has at the government executive level or into critical infrastructure. Part of the vision for CISA and the CSE program within Nevada for 2023 is to assist in the development of cybersecurity programs, which includes supporting the Emergency Support Function 17 cybersecurity for cyber risk management and incident response for cyber. And I've been working in conjunction already with the Joint Task Force Defensive Cyber Operations element. I'll continue that focus on with the executive branch for any other critical infrastructure assessments that we do across CISA, and then incident response plan development as well for any of those agencies that need assistance with that, whether it's assessment, tabletops, or whatever they need for help. I'm more than happy to do that, and then helping them so that they can adhere with any of the Nevada revised statutes that call out for our security measures, noting, of course, all that information being protected under the protected critical infrastructure information requirements for those assessments. And pending that, sir, that's all I have, unless you have any questions or anyone else does. Over.
Any questions from any board members? Dr. Hayes? Hey, Doctor, for the record, Governor Lombardo, just for clarification, what were the 4 different elements that you're responsible for? I have election fraud, health services, and what else?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that, sir. Could you repeat that?
Your 4 areas of responsibility. I had election, fraud, health services, and I didn't hear the other 2.
Yes, sir. The 4 priority areas for CISA is election security, K through 12 education, healthcare, and water and wastewater. And of course, anything else that the state wants to make a priority is certainly a priority for us.
All right. Thank you, Doc. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll move on to 5G, Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. John Bakadal, are you present?
Yes, sir. John Backadall here. I'm the Deputy Administrator at DEM, and I coordinate the operations side of our house. So this basic explanation, we've created a 5-page white paper that defines the roles and responsibilities of emergency management, separating it clearly from the crisis management or the operational people that will be dealing with the cyber event itself, while we're focusing on the consequences of that event or consequence management. So with that, that's our vision as the consequence management, to make sure that we're helping prepare people in their efforts with the training and exercises as we did yesterday, and then also activating our emergency operations center and dealing with additional events that may come from a cyber event. As Dr. Hayes said, a water wastewater facility, people will be taking care of the actual attack on that facility. Meanwhile, the public is going to have hazmat issues as well as public health issues that we will be facilitating resources and information coordination through. So the activation of the EOC will be our biggest role. So our 2 primary efforts so far have been creating a draft document that outlines our efforts in consequence management. And then the second effort was to assist in the coordination of the memorandum of understanding with the Nevada National Guard and their operational status with their personnel. They will be activated through the division here, and OCDC, the Office of Cyber Defense, and the Keenes team, to make sure that coordination is happening from the beginning on who's going to do what, when they're going to do it. And then we are in our role for crisis management, or I'm sorry, consequence management. That's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Any questions? So for the record, Governor Lombardo, so Tim, just to reiterate, if you could provide a document of either training or information on the process, the organization chart, the flow chart, and a synopsis of the responsibility of each entity and how they play into any particular crisis. Does that provide you enough clarification?
Governor, for the record, absolutely, yes. We're happy to do that. I think we've got most of it all together already, so we'll package it up and get it in a shareable form that we can get out to everybody.
All right, and Keen, I'm not sure, would that be something you assist with?
Yes, Keen Patel for the record, yes, that would be something that I can assist with.
All right, any questions of any board members from any of the participants? Any concerns? Chief Steinbeck, are you good?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll close agenda item number 5 as discussion only and move on to agenda item number 6. Report on the statewide adoption of the National Incident Management System, NIMS, for discussion only. Mr. Fogerson.
Thank you, Governor, Commission members. This is a legal requirement that every meeting we do discuss the statewide adoption of the NIMS program, which we have done previously. We do continue with not only the ICS training, but also the position-specific training. And the division's also tasked with being able to field 2 different incident management teams. We do have one with the Southern Nevada Incident Management Team that you'll see on a grant request later on today that's been working for a few years that the division works with. And then the division has additional personnel that we can call up for. And a great example has been during the flood events back in March. We were actually able to deploy 8 members to the County of Eureka to assist them not only within the Emergency Operations Center, but also in the field and manage that incident through that incident management team. And I believe we sent five to Lincoln County, to assist Lincoln County also within the Emergency Operations Center and to manage those field operations. So we're meeting that legal obligation and it seems to be working well. Still got some additional air we got to put in the tires on that bus, but it seems to be driving down the street pretty well for us right now.
I don't know where you got that analogy, but accept it. So, any questions of Mr. Fogerson by any board members? All right.
Yes, sir, Governor. John
Go ahead.
Steinbeck for the record. Yes.
Go ahead.
Question. Hey, Dave, so would you say that in the last 3 to 5 years then with the efforts that's been being put into NIMS, I know you talked about the deployments, but do we have more bench depth, excuse me, in these positions for the IMT and the EOCs where we've been short so many times before?
Great question, Chief. And I would say that we are better than we have been, but that's where I'm talking about putting the, still keeping the air in the tires to keep going forward with it. We've got a lot of folks that have done the training. And so now it's a matter of getting those folks to do the all hazard position task books. We've got a lot of folks that are on the wildland side and getting them transitioned into the all hazard part. And the more that we do this, I mean, deploying the 2 for the floods was great because we used some Nevada Division of Forestry employees, we used some Truck Mills Fire employees, we used some Nevada Highway Patrol Lieutenant. And so we're trying to get out there so that way it's a full ranging group of people and meet that all hazard part as opposed to that wildland only part. And so we continue to grow, but we got better bench depth than we did. Am I comfortable with it 100%? Not yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah, no, I think you are too. I appreciate it. That's really got to be the goal of it. We all know that 1, 2, maybe 3 operational periods we can hold on, but that's when we need help from everybody. Everybody either needs or needs to give help in those areas, and keep it up. Good job.
Absolutely. Just taking up what you and Caleb Cage started with.
Any other questions, Mr. Fogerson? All right, hearing none, we'll close agenda item number 6, move on to agenda item number 7, review of the 2022 annual reports. Mr. Fogerson.
Thank you, sir. In your package, you have the 2 reports that we're required to complete on an annual basis. One is from the Nevada Resilient Advisory Committee. I couldn't get that out very well. And then the other one is to report on this commission and its activities over the last year as well. And rather than reading them to you, I will take any questions, or if you'd like to talk offline, feel free to reach out and we can discuss what is in those 2 reports.
Any questions? All right, hearing none. That's a discussion only, so we'll close item number 7 and move on to item number 8. Review of the federal fiscal year 2023 State Homeland Security Program and Urban Area Security Initiative Program recommendations. Discussion and possible action. Mr. Fogerson.
Thank you, Governor. So Chief Billy Samuels and I will tag team this agenda item. I just want to start by reminding the group of the process that this starts with notice of funding operation from the federal funding opportunities from the federal government. And then the state hosts multiple meetings to help people along with that grant process. They submit the grants, they're reviewed by the staff, and then grant projects that are within the urban area initiative area are sent down to the urban area working group led by Chief Billy Samuels. And then any grants that are requested that are outside of the urban area come to the Nevada Resilient Advisory Committee. Those 2 bodies rank those projects and decide what recommendation to make. And then that advances the Nevada Commission on Homeland Security's Committee on Finance. And that meeting was held yesterday. And then we bring it to this committee here, or this commission here, for final recommendation of the governor and the state administrative agent for moving those projects forward. So I'd like to actually start first with Chief Samuels talking about what we have from the urban area security initiative side, and then I can talk about from the state side.
Thank you, Chief Ferguson. Billy Samuels for the record, and thank you, Governor. Appreciate that. Just so you all know, we did meet April 18th, the Urban Area Working Group for the UASI funds that come from the HSGP. And we all had a pretty good meeting, a lot of consolidations. 28 out of the 29 projects did pass. There was 1 project that did not pass. That was the City of Henderson tethered drones. And the last project was a partial funded position, or a piece of equipment that we're able to do for the mobile command post for Clark County. The one things that we got to keep into account though, Governor, is we did meet the LEPTA match at almost $3.6 million. We have to do 35% of that 5.25 million, and we did meet that. So that's one of the requirements. There are 5 other requirements. They're broken down as one, and it's a 3% that we have to make for the funds. And those do include the enhancing the protection of soft targets and crowds, enhancing information sharing and intelligence sharing, combating domestic violent extremism, enhancing community preparedness and resilience, and enhancing election security. For the UASI, we had to have $157,500 for each of those projects, and we did meet those projects, and those things matter for that. Pending that, Governor, I can answer any questions, but if you wanted to go over each project, that's fine, but I was just going to give you the one that did not. All the sustained got passed, and there was some new enhanced as well.
For the record, Governor Lombardo, Billy, I missed what you said. What did we not, which one item did we not meet?
It was that project was tethered drones for the city of Henderson.
And the issue, do we know?
Funding. And
Okay.
it ranked last, sir.
Okay.
That's how it happened.
So it dropped off.
Yes, sir. I mean, obviously, so now if we have the obligated funds or some of those projects that don't get funded in the next 3 years, if they don't meet the things or they don't decide that they don't need them, then we do go below the red line, and that's the next project that will be funded if the city of Henderson still wishes to do that.
And to your knowledge, do you recall, did we get funded for the tethered drones for Metro?
No, sir. Metro did not put in for tethered drones this year.
I thought we did reference T-Mobile.
No, so that was not one of the UASI projects that was put in by Air Support or anything like that, or even TAS.
Huh. Okay. Hey, Kevin, you got that? You have that really bad feedback. I don't know if it's your mic or.
Yeah, so Billy, wasn't it Henderson that put in for the tethered drones?
Hey, I don't know if you understood him, Dave, but he asked, there was somebody that put in for tethered drones.
Yeah, that was still a city of Henderson, and that ranked the lowest on all the projects. And if obviously we had more money or we had more deobligated funds from the previous years, we could have funded that. But as far as the ranking cycle goes, it finished last. Sheriff, was that what you were asking? Okay.
I didn't see, did he shake his head?
He's yes in the affirmative.
Okay. Hey, just for info, Kevin, your mic, we can't understand what you're saying, so I don't know what the issue is. You might want to just check with Rachel on the tethered drone piece, because I remember her presenting that prior to my departure, and so I don't know what came of it. So, all right. Any other questions, Mr. Fogerson or Mr. Samuels?
And Governor, real quick, if I can go through on the state Homeland Security side, we did have 26 projects, and we're recommending 20 of them get funded. 6 of them did fall below the red line, just like Chief Samuels was talking about from the Southern Nevada project. Our projects, though, that didn't get funded, Moapa Valley Fire Protection District is asking for stop to bleed kits for their 3 schools. We're able to connect them with the Southern Nevada Health District to fund that project for them. White Pine County is asking for an ambulance, some plate carriers, firefighter SCBAs, and 2 pickup trucks for their volunteer fire chief and their fire chief. Those also fell below the red line, and the committee had pretty decent discussion about whether they're appropriate or not for the Homeland Security grant stream. And then the other one that was not found to have funding available for and didn't rank high enough was EATS was asking for tower climbing training and equipment, so that way they could work on the state's microwave system. All the other programs did get funded within the amounts that they're asking for. One of the big projects that we did fund for within the UASI out of the state funds was a connection for 2 of Metro's 3 aircraft to be able to do downlinks to the ground. So that way the incident commanders can get that immediate visual from their aircraft. And the request was for 3, but due to funding, we only did 2 of those. So that way they could always have 1 available to fly while 1 might be in maintenance. So this was all submitted yesterday to the Commission's Committee on Finance, and they approve this with the recommendation to come to this group to recommend approval of these grant projects moving forward, sir. That's the end of the report. Thank you.
Governor Lombardo for the record. So Dave, what were the 4 items out of White Pine? I just have them listed as 4 items. I don't have the descriptive.
White Pine County was looking for plate carriers for their sheriff's office. They wanted 32 plate carriers. White Pine County was looking for 10 self-contained breathing apparatus for one of their volunteer fire departments. They're looking for an ambulance, and they're looking for 2 command trucks, one to be assigned to the White Pine County Fire Chief, one to the London Volunteer Fire Department. They do have access to other grant funding that staff is working with them on through the radiation program that provides some funding for some of the rural counties. So we're working with them to see if we get them funding through that other source as well.
All right. And is your office working with them on appropriate requests?
Absolutely, sir. That's part of the conversation. Yes.
All right. All right, thank you. This is an action item. Dr. Khan, you want to make a stab at the motion?
Yeah, I so moved.
There you go. Samantha, is that sufficient?
And sir, we don't have Samantha with us today. We do have Nathan Hastings. Samantha is at that Fusion Center conference with
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that. So Nathan, is that sufficient?
Thank you, Marilyn.
All right, I'll tell you what, Dr. Khan, just add in, you so moved to approve the SHSP and the UASI program recommendations. How's that?
Yeah, that's appropriate, I think.
All right, I'll make the second on that. So all those in favor say aye.
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 All those against say nay. All right, hearing none, motion passes. We will close item number 8, move on to item number 9. Project change request, PCR above the $100,000 threshold. And that will be Mr. Franco.
Governor, before we go to Jared, I do want to say one item on this one. This is going to be a retroactive approval of this process. This was approved by the Committee on Finance at their first quarter meeting. And then, as everyone's well aware, we had to cancel that first quarter meeting because of the memorial service for the care flight wing crew. And then we worked with your office and you, sir, to get this moving along faster for Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center. So we've actually already approved this project administratively, but I want to bring it back to the commission for the true approval of it. I apologize, but because of time frame, we would have been unable to utilize that money if we hadn't done it in this way. And given the extraordinary circumstances of having to cancel that meeting, I think all parties felt it was in the best interest of us to do so. I'll turn it over to Jared to talk about what the project was.
Yes, thank you, Chief. Jared Franco for the record. This request comes to the commission as a PCR of over $100,000. They're asking to move funds from savings that they incurred from their purchase of tactical turtle gear and move that money into purchasing comms headsets to finish and build out their Metro Command vehicles. The total move and purchase of these comms headsets is a little over $200,000, which by our policies require all 3 committee members or all 3 committees approvals. It's already received NRACS and Homeland Committee on Finance. Now we're seeking approval from this commission, Governor. With that being said, I'll take any questions you may have.
Questions, any board members? Kevin, do you have any questions on this, Kevin? Mr. Steinbeck?
Yes, I just wanted to ask when the funds have to be spent by.
So this is a FY21 grant, which expires end of next year.
It's at 8/23. August.
I think it's August.
August of 23, correction.
Right. I have no other questions, Governor.
And I don't have a question on it either, Governor. I just wanted to comment, Dave, good job in making sure that this money didn't get lost and taking care of this administratively. We appreciate that. And that's the right way to do it. And that's why we're grateful that you're in that position.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Kevin, for your information, your mic's working now.
Well, this is your old desk, you know, and your old computer. I had to figure it out.
Well, they put a tracker in there after I left. And listen, so John, Mr. Steinbeck, can you make a stab at the motion?
Yes, sir, Governor. I have a motion to approve the project of the obligated funds as presented.
All right, can I have a second?
Mitch Fox will second that.
Thank you, Mitch. Appreciate that. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any against, say nay. Hearing none, motion passes. We'll close agenda item number 9, move on to agenda item number 10. Federal grant reobligation guidelines, discussion with possible action. Mr. Fogerson.
Thank you, sir. Again, these were the guidelines that kind of just led us to that last action item. These reobligation guidelines were first written about 10 years ago. And so we wanted to daylight them again to make sure everyone was still comfortable with them. We took them to the commission, the Committee on Finance, and had them review them, and they approved, making a recommendation to this body to approve them as well. And this gives that same permission that we just talked about. Items under $100,000, I have the position as a state administrative agent to make that project change request administratively without any other permissions. The one item I do promise this commission, and it's in our past agendas and is in this agenda, is that we will daylight all those changes. That way everybody's aware of what we're doing. I feel very strong. We do a very public process to select the grants. And so I don't take it lightly when I have to change that grant administratively afterwards. But it also holds that any grant amount over $100,000 does first go to the Committee on Finance for review and recommendation, and then ultimately comes to this board for the final approval before we move forward on that change. So just clean up some language in it and email addresses and making sure that everyone's daylighted on the process that we use.
All right, so for the record, Governor Lombardo, so Dave, you said it's 10 years old?
I can't remember the original date. Does anybody? 2011 was the original date. So I guess that's a little longer than 10 years. I'll have to work on my math skills.
So there has been no change in the $100,000 threshold by the feds?
No.
Huh. That's interesting. All right. Anything else? Any questions of any board members?
Only comment I have, Governor John Steinbeck, for the record, Dave, in one of our previous meetings, we talked about raising that threshold up due to inflation, but you still felt like it was, you were comfortable with that $100,000. Do you still feel in that range?
I still feel comfortable in that range because there is that emergency escape clause in here to do what we did with the SNCTC project, where we can go directly to the governor, approve it, and have the commission approve it retroactively if we needed to. But with the whole public process that we use to approve these grants, I want to make sure that everything we do to change those grants are also in a public process and gives everyone a fair view of what people are using these funds for.
Thank you, Dave.
And John, I don't know if the feds will allow us to change it because it says it mimics the federal guidelines.
I'm not sure either. Yeah, I'm
Are
not
you-
sure either, Governor. We never know unless we ask, but if Dave's not recommending that, it's a moot point.
Okay. This is an action item. Can I get a motion for approval?
So Dr. Klein, for the record, so moved.
A second?
Compton, I second.
Who was that?
Colonel Brett Compton.
All right, we have a motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any against, say nay. Hearing none, motion passes. We'll close agenda item number 10 and move to item 11, grant status reports for fiscal years 19, 20, 21, and 22. Sue's Coyote or Mr. Franco.
Good afternoon, Sue's Coyote for the record. The status of current grants is in the grant status report attached in the meeting materials. All sub-awards for open grants and programs are listed in the report. The period of performance for each grant year is shown in the row preceding those grants. It shows the subrecipient, agency, project, original award amount, reobligated funds received, amount spent as of the last report, the funding stream or grant, and any deobligated amount, and the percentage of the award spent as of the last report received in that order. The federal reporting narratives for Homeland Security Grant Program and Nonprofit Security Grant Program are also attached, which provide programmatic updates for those grant programs as of 12/30/2022. The late reporting for quarter ending 12/30/2022 is included with this agenda item as well. Status of expected grants: Homeland Security Grant Program, Nonprofit Security Grant Program, and Emergency Management Performance Grant Program. The state's applications are all on track to be submitted by the due date of May 18th. State and local cybersecurity program, the cybersecurity program is under review. We'll notify stakeholders when we're able to release applications for the grant. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this report. Otherwise, end of report.
Any questions, any board members? Ms. Coyote.
Governor, I'm sorry, Governor, this is Bill Welch.
Hey, Bill.
I just noticed that on 2019, there's a number of the grants that are at zero expenditure to date. And going along with some of the prior discussions on the time frame that we have to use that money before it's lost, I'm just wondering the status of those, particularly the 2019 grants.
I will review the report and get back to this body with an answer for you.
Thank you.
Huh. Hey, Bill, traditionally, they have a span of 3 years, correct?
That's correct. That's as I recall, Governor. And that's my concern, is that if they're not going to be expended by the end of this year, which I think would be the 3 years, the commission might want to reconsider reallocating those funds to some of the other priorities that haven't been able to be met because they fell below the red line.
Yeah. Hey, Governor, this is Jared Franco. For the record, if I may add something to this. You're absolutely correct, Bill. The grant does expire at the end of this year in August. We are working with some of our partners, as we do have a large amount of the obligated money, to try and get it spent. Most of the obligated money is coming from the UASI, so we're working closely with Billy Samuels to ensure we can spend as much as that grant down as we can allowable.
And Dave Fogerson, some of the issues we had with this was just during the COVID pandemic of people trying to spend this grant money plus their other jobs that they had at the time. And then there's some supply chain issues that we run into place with these things, but we're actively working with those folks to try to get that money spent.
So this is Dr. Khan, for the record, a quick question. These grants that are not utilized yet, going forward, as I understand, there are parameters or lists of areas where it can be spent and not beyond those areas. Is that true?
This is Jared Franco for the record. So as long as we make the minimum spend requirements and ensure we get FEMA's approval on the higher dollar amounts that are moved around, we will be okay.
And the FEMA approval process could be slow, in my experience in the past.
Jared Franco for the record, that's correct. But we have ways to try to make things move faster with quicker timelines, where we bring in the big guns, Chief Fogerson, to talk to his counterparts at the federal level.
Okay, thank you.
And Dr. Khan, one of the other items, because this was always been a concern of mine, coming from local government now to state government. And that's why now Jared and Suze have done a nice job. There's a late reporting list that's in here too. So you can see who is late with their reports. And what we're going to start doing is administratively, hey, you're late. We staff talks you, then it elevates to Suze talking to you, then it elevates to Jared talking to you, then it elevates to me talking to you, then it elevates to us. Administratively taking the money back from that person if they're not providing the right work of that. So that way we can get it reallocated without having to make a lot of stuff happen in a short period of time. We're trying to be a little more proactive with the monitoring of those moving forward. And we instituted that a year ago, 9 months ago.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Governor Lombardo, for the record, one additional question. I don't know who's best suited to answer it. On the 2019 City of Henderson multi-use EOC enterprise surveillance EHP approved, 6/21. Does that approval change the timeline of 2023 for need to spend? That's a lot of money sitting there with 0%. I don't know how you can, they can spend it by the end of this fiscal year.
So, hi, Suze Coyote for the record. Some of these things, this report is as of the end of 2022. Our first quarter due date is April 30th. And so what has transpired in this first quarter of 2023 is not reflected in this report. And that program specifically, I believe that purchase has been completed and we've received reporting on that. And that will be reflected in the next meeting, at the next meeting of this, when we update this report. But what we're looking at here is from about 4 months ago.
All right, Governor Lombardo for the record. So Suze, with that being said, in the interim, can we get an updated report for the board members so we can elevate the concern if need be? Because our next Homeland Security meeting will be too late in the fiscal year to make a decision if it's this detrimental. Is that possible?
Yes.
All right.
Governor Lombardo, Kevin McMahill for the record. We talked about this also in the finance committee, and you know, it stood out to me that the subrecipient on most of the 19 funds is DEM and DPS, but also some concern when you look into the 2020. Also, there's a lot of that, and so trying to have a better understanding of what that is. I know that when Dave talked about this, we talked about some of the challenges with COVID and spending the money down. I was also told that we're about 4 months late on the reporting. So we are working to get an updated percentage on all of these, but I think you're 100% right on the 2019 funds. While most of the amounts are relatively small, I think we're making a lot of progress, at least what we discussed in the finance committee.
Good. Appreciate that, Kevin. So it shouldn't be an issue to give us an updated one so we don't wait for the next formal meeting. When is the finance committee meet again? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head, but I'll get you that information and we'll make sure we get the updated information to you.
Thank you. So thank you, Dr. Khan, for bringing that forward. So this is discussion only item. Any other concerns or questions?
Governor John Steinbeck, I agree with everything that's been said, but I just have a question for Dave. Is there an opportunity for any extensions based on the pandemic?
I believe those 2019s already did have an extension from FEMA. And so 2019, 2020, Susan just whispering in my ear to help remind me that we did ask for those extensions for those 2 years. And the feds gave one automatically, then we asked for a second one for those supply chain issues in COVID. Again, like Sue said, because of the reporting period, we give people that quarter to tell us what they did. So this data is going to be a little stagnant, and without giving you lifetime data, which would be very, very difficult. I'm not sure how we do that. these reports are always gonna be kind of a little dated. I just ask for that forgiveness or that leeway that staff is actively working with all these partners on these things, and they're elevating those to Jared, John, or I when we need to reach out. And most of our partners are very, very good about being up on that information. And then when we talk to, Billy Samuels as the urban area administrator, we're able to reallocate those pretty quickly. A lot of people have kind of shovel-ready projects ready to spend this money. Because Billy and I, our number one goal is not to send any money back to federal government. So this is something that we're working pretty hard on. And I think put forward those late reports where we start just administratively taking back money from people if they're not responding as they're supposed to. I think once we do that one time, everyone else is going to get the message not to do it again. And that will probably clean up the past history stuff too.
Thank you.
So Governor Bardo, for the record, so Dave, I agree with that in the most part, but the thing I don't agree with is the 5 stages of reach out and response. I think that's too cumbersome, takes up too much time, and it shows a lack of responsibility. Can we condense that need for response in a timely manner so we can make decisions on this outside of a hasty, short timeline?
And Jared's now whispering right here, it's a 10-day, 30-day, and then 60-day notice is what we give people between those processes. So it is within 2 months of them not providing the reports that we do start working to take that money from them administratively is the process we're currently using. We're obviously trying to implement it kind of softly to start with because it is such a dramatic change for some people that, you can see, especially the Homeland Security side doesn't look like we're that late in reporting on things, but like the emergency management and performance grants or the emergency preparedness working group grants, we have had some counties that are, in the rears quite a bit. And so we're working with them to try to clean it up. So we don't want to rip the Band-Aid off at once, but we want to make sure we're holding people accountable for the money that they are receiving from us.
I understand the 10, 30, and 60. I just understand the 5 levels of organizational chart communication. So, all right. I don't want to ever be in the situation we were a couple years ago with cybersecurity.
No, sir.
All right, discussion only. If I don't hear any more questions from board members, I'll move on to item number 12. DEM/H Homeland Security FEMA audit results for fiscal years 22 and 23. Discussion only. Mr. Franco.
Thank you, Governor. Jared Franco for the record. Last commission meeting, I talked about the 3 audits DEM is currently undergoing. The first one is I Bailey, which is a contracted audit firm for the state of Nevada. They're currently auditing us and other state agencies as well for the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery fund. The second one is LCB audit for their support of federal grant testing. And the third one is by Nevada's executive audit branch, which falls under the governor's finance office. We have submitted all the requested documentation by all 3 of these audits, and we are awaiting any further requests or suggestions they may give us. With that being said, that's into my report, and I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions, any board members or concerns? Mr. Franco? All right, hearing none, we'll close this discussion only. We'll close item number 12 and we'll move on to our second opportunity for public comment. Ms. Whipple, do we have any public comment?
Any public comment in the room? There is none written or online.
All right, this will close the public comment section and we'll move on to an adjournment for action. Can I get a motion?
Dr. Khan, for the record, move it to adjourn.
Oh, sure. You give a description on that one. Can I get a second?
Mitch Fox will second that.
Thank you, Mitch. Everybody, thank you for your participation, and I will be in contact for the next meeting. This will adjourn.